Hola. Good morning. As we like to say in North Carolina, good morning, you all. Right, y'all? Pleasure to be here. I want to start off very quickly. It's an honor to follow the minister in my opening keynote remarks, and I want to thank directly Judith and Jordy and Andorra Business for all you've done to bring myself and one of my team members over here from North Carolina and the United States. Been wonderful hosts, beautiful city, beautiful country. We're thrilled to be here. I want to spend some time this morning with you talking about our eSports strategic plan and how we decided to launch it. It's a plan that's very specific to Raleigh, North Carolina. It's not Atlanta, Georgia's plan. It's not Los Angeles, California's plan. It's Raleigh's plan. And we've been very intentional in how we've built it. Before we jump in, I want to give a little bit of a geographics lesson to the crowd here. There we go. A little bit on North Carolina, right? Middle part of the eastern seaboard of the United States. Raleigh is the capital city of the state, currently 10.8 million residents statewide. The population of the city of Raleigh and the surrounding area is about 2 million. The city itself is about 480,000, to give you some perspective. Crazy thing to note is 65 people a day continue to pour into Raleigh, North Carolina as new residents coming from other parts of the United States, the Northeast, the West Coast, the Midwest. So we're continuing to grow quite exponentially. The geographical area of Raleigh and our home county, Wake County, is 12,344 square kilometers. And the good news, we are now up to 4 direct flights to Europe, nonstop daily out of RDU International. Got to get that plug in there for our airport partners. Nonstop from London, Paris, Reykjavik, Iceland, and starting in June of 2024, Frankfurt, Germany. Additionally announced, we've got 2 nonstop dailies from Toronto and Montreal, and just announced literally this week, nonstop service to Panama City, Panama, via Copa. So we now have opened up a Central and South America gateway. Truly, our city's becoming international as we speak. We're also the 41st most populous state in the United States. Excuse me, the city is the most populous 41st in the United States. Another interesting point, why so much growth? Why 65 people a day are coming into the market? We're top 3 in best places to work, live, and we're a top 3 tech market in the United States. So a lot of converging paths there, super exciting. Let's jump into quickly, there we go, on why we invested in this journey. And every journey starts with a plan. In 2017, our organization, we're the lead tourism organization for Raleigh and Wake County, commissioned a study by Jones Lang LaSalle, JLL. They're a global commercial real estate company. They do work all over the world. Their tourism and destination team came together with us and over 13 months developed what we refer to as the Destination Strategic Plan. This is a 10-year plan that has oversight to all things tourism. It touches on meetings and conventions. It touches on sports, events, leisure, key attractions that are in our locale. Destination development, hugely important, how to build the next big facilities, how to enhance the facilities that we have. And something we refer to as quality of place, and I'll get back to that in a minute. I want to lay the landscape for you for our ecosystem, why this was super important. And in a way, eSports found us, right? We didn't go seeking it, it kind of found us. But right in our backyard, Epic Games, Ubisoft, Funcom, NVIDIA, Cisco, IBM, and several top independent game development companies are based there. Greater Raleigh had esports and gaming already in its ecosystem. We just weren't executing on it. JLL's Destination Strategic Plan put a spotlight on esports as a future sector for economic impact, and that is when we found esports. I was there all along. We just needed to start our esports journey and be very intentional about that. And with this in mind, we set out to visit our own destination to assess what we had and to find professionals within our jurisdiction who could guide us. He's here with me today. Ed, show your hand real quick. Ed Tomasi. Ed's got 25 years in the esports space, lives in the same hometown as I, and we fortunately met in 2017 and kicked off a great partnership. the tour, I think there's some tourism folks in the room. If you have an interest of checking out the full plan, it is a completely public document. You can go to it anytime. It's at visitraleigh.com/2028. You can take a deep dive into the overall strategy. So let's talk eSports. As we moved into the rollout of the plan in 2018 and quickly started to scale, Ed took me to New York City for my first major eSports competition at the Barclays Center. Huge arena, big Counter-Strike event, 10,000 screaming fans, the thunder sticks, the whole deal. But it was a big event, and that was not where we were going to start. From there, we started a strategy that really got into looking at how we could start to build relationships with key publishers and producers. And we started winning out of the gate. Our first major return to eSports, it's reflected on the screen, was in 2019, an engagement with Ubisoft, Rainbow Six, and our friends then at ESL, now at EFG. And subsequently, with a slight stoppage during COVID, reflective there in a 2020 event, we really started to kind of pick up the cadence in 21, 22, and 23. Big part of that. When we sat down and looked at our strategy, again, trying to be very intentional, we said, how can we make a difference not only at the local level, but at the state level? We got the idea to approach the state of North Carolina, our elected government. Just so happened that we pitched the state government on an eSports production grant. So think in the same vein as a film grant for motion picture filming. We said, the state's already got a film grant, why not an eSports grant? The good news was the individual that we were talking to at the time, state legislator Jason Sain, was also the appropriations chair for the state of North Carolina. He controlled the entire budget for the state. Here's the really good news. Passionate Call of Duty player. It was not a hard sell. That program rolled out in late 21, became official in 22. It became a 3-year pilot program, $5 million US invested per year for production offsets to major events that were coming to the state of North Carolina, not just Raleigh. We led the charge, but it's a statewide grant and still exists today. The other thing that we did is we put together what we refer to as GRELOC, Greater Raleigh Esports Local Organizing Committee. And really what that was is Ed's consultancy, the Greater Raleigh Convention and Visitors Bureau, and our sports marketing arm all came together kind of in a leadership, strategic type role, and we started to reach out into the community to build relationships. And that immediately turned into the RFP. The production grant hit, got out word globally, and the RFPs started flowing in. Our pipeline for event opportunities in 24 is super exciting, and we continue to grow. It is a game genre. It is diverse in a game genre. Our venue, our audience, and our community. We're looking at collegiate events to large-scale arena spectacles. It's all next level for a destination of our size. We're not in LA. We're not in Arlington, Texas, and we're certainly not in New York City. So that's an exciting opportunity. Greater Raleigh has become a national and international model for having a diverse and sustainable esports ecosystem strategy. That model also includes local and regional activation. We'll get into that in a minute. We've earned praise and trust from the global esports industry and community while keeping our sights on delivering value and economic impact locally to our stakeholders. Let's take a look at the phases of our esports journey. This is something, again, we've been working on for the better part of 5 years, right? It starts with the number 0, and yes, 0 is a number, and it is common for most destinations to start here. These conversations need to include tourism, municipal governments, venues, and economic development sector leaders. When you get into phase 1, right, this is the area where we conduct, we build demand and awareness, and we do feasibility studies. We mapped our ecosystem. What does the current esports landscape look like for Raleigh? Did we have pro athletes? Did we have amateur athletes that maybe were tied to collegiate programs? What did the academic curriculum look like at our 2-year and 4-year university institutions? What were the non- and endemic corporations in our backyard that had an interest in esports? What does the youth landscape look like For us, it's 9 through 12 high school, as we refer to it in the States, but also middle school and ages younger. And then what's the online community like within our area? Where are the passionate fans? Where are the folks that are on Twitch and doing other great things? Then we shifted the focus to our venues. What existing venues did we have? We were not in it to necessarily build an eSports arena. That may come in due time in the future. But we wanted to look at our existing infrastructure of our convention center, our arena, a couple of indoor sports facilities that we have that are aligned collegiately. And a key point here, we had to work with those venues to, one, make sure that they were technologically ready, had the right pipe and bandwidth, they had dual redundancy, all the things that venues need to build a level of trust with a publisher and a producer. And then even things as simple as logistical readiness. Was that venue ready to transition over to what is typically for an esports event, an 8 to 10 hour event versus a 1 hour load in, a 3 hour event, and a 1 hour load out? Did pricing align to an 8 to 12 hour event? So these are all things that we needed to teach our venues, and we got after very quickly. And then the other part of that is, how do we go out and promote? And again, events like eSports City Talks offer some a first meaningful opportunity to start a conversation about their eSports journey. We were very intentional about looking at what was happening in the US on the eSports conference front, and we've also spent time across the pond. Another example would be attending Gamescom last year in Cologne, Germany, and we were the only US destination there. So I'd like to think we were a leader in that sense. And then finally, number 3, dedicate the proper time and resources, right? So this is, what's the staff look like for our tourism boards? What does your staff who's dedicated and understanding esports look like at your venues? Even at the hotel level, right? We do some in-house hotel activations, and there's got to be somebody on that staff that understands the space. Again, it's about the speed of trust, engaging the publisher and the producer, and being able to talk the same language. Annual budgetary resources to promote, sponsor, and engage, highly important. You have to evaluate and evolve each year. Let's talk a little bit about how we mapped, again, our ecosystem. This is Raleigh's view of this. So we've got 3 rings here. That outer ring is the external, right? So we're looking at event operators, game publishers and producers, the tech industry, external globally, not only in the US, but around the globe. The green is our internal stakeholder community, right? And the center, of course, is the end result of trying to curate events and festivals. The Greater Raleigh Esports Local Organizing Committee was established in phase 1 from the previous slide, as I noted, to support a diverse group of local civic, sports, and business leaders who are interested in growing esports and gaming activities. GRELOCT helps stimulate the local economy and serve Greater Raleigh by helping it actively participate in this rapid evolving segment of the entertainment industry. GRELOCT helps bring esports and other gaming activities to Greater Raleigh and serves as a centerpiece of support for our local gaming community and scholastic programs, and a strategic advisor within the community to our elected leaders, to our business leaders, to our academic institutions, and others noted on that slide. This is one of my favorites, and this is actually my quote: "Know what to measure and how to measure it," right? I want to share with you very quickly a couple of examples of how Raleigh measures each and every event we host, from local LAN tournaments and community centers to global championships and large arenas. Local can be a vital link to bigger online communities. We sponsor various local events and take a community engagement strategy approach to those local events. Positive brand impressions for our city, residential sentiment for Raleigh being a gaming-centric city, to hosting local, regional, national, and international events, bringing in locals, but also an abundance of visitors. We average, when we bring in a national or international event, when you look at the ticket data behind those events and zip codes, 70% plus are from out of market. We get a good turnout locally, but people are following their passionate communities and the passionate games that they play. New money comes to the destination, and want to give you a quick example of a case study that we do. So this is an actual event that took place in April of 2023. This is from our friends at Riot Games, and this was the 2023 LCS Spring Finals. This took place at the PNC Arena, which is our large professional sports arena in Raleigh. You'll notice in the upper left-hand corner over my shoulder, that number of 2.7 million in direct economic impact. What is direct economic impact? In the tourism world, direct economic impact is monies that are spent by visitors, not residents, new money into our destination through hotel transactions, restaurant transactions, retail. You all have an amazing shopping district here. Hopefully people that come in for events also hit those retail stores. Transportation providers and ticketed services. This is the best way to measure an event around new money coming into the marketplace. 12,000 total attendees at the event, and that was a verified number by Riot Games. My favorite line is that second line. Look at the broadcast reach. 1.3 million total views live, 14 hours of live stream content. And the beauty of that is the shoutcasters, every time they announced the event, they said live from Raleigh, North Carolina, to a global audience. There were 12 countries represented in the live stream. So again, we didn't have to pay for anything as it related to the live stream other than the mention of Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, we have pivoted since, and we've learned that we now also created a 30-second video spot that we turn over to the publisher that they run during the broadcast. It is a game-agnostic video that talks about Raleigh's game culture, and it's on every broadcast of every national and international event. To me, that's, no pun intended, marketing gold. I don't have a big enough budget to typically have that kind of global reach. And then the bottom line is reflective of overall room night hotel demand. Again, part of the agreement with Riot was share your ticket data with us. We need to see zip code, city, state, and zip code only. We don't want first name, last name, and we don't need email addresses. It's not a marketing campaign on the back end. We simply want to be able to measure the event. So again, pretty impactful. This is one of, again, the 10 events that we've shown. The other side of this, those that are in the room that work with destinations, whether it's here in Andorra, Arturo's here from Valencia, any other city of substantial size, that impact calculator is a tool that is available through Destinations International. Our CVB is a member. They have 600 members worldwide. Ask your city, ask your tourism arm if they subscribe to Tourism Economics Impact Calculator. So let's talk about defining goals, right? What does this look like? We've got economic impact, we've got economic development, destination branding, and quality of place. Let's start with economic impact. When we define our goals, we're looking at local impact to business through new dollars, something I just explained. What's the job creation, right? New jobs that are added to it, but existing jobs. And the other thing that we try to measure is when a major event comes in, we want to look to see how many of our local businesses, riggers, producers, caterers, are a benefactor of that event. Tax revenue, incredibly important. Part of our funding is through lodging tax and food and beverage prepared tax. How much direct tax revenue is driven by the event to offset any incentives that we give? Economic development. One of the things that we see is a lot of our corporate partners are looking at company relocations. They ask us, what's the cool factor of the city of Raleigh? Well, we do a lot of eSports events. We do a lot of music festivals. We have a cool factor. Employee recruitment. Many of the tech companies that are based here, we know for a fact that their employees are gamers. And younger means games. I think within 10 years, there's pretty much going to be everybody that's working in a corporate job somewhere will have touched a game at some point in their life, whether they played as a kid or they play as an adult. Destination branding, I touched on that a little bit. Tourism and visitation. Placing Raleigh on the map is incredibly important. And then it starts with a visit, right? Anytime you undertake a tourism strategy, it all starts with a visit. I'm going to show a slide here in a minute on that. And then finally, this is that quality of place. This was a part of that destination strategic plan that I mentioned. It is what we can build that both the resident and the visitor can take advantage of. It's not to be confused with quality of life, but it's quality of place. So exciting new entertainment options for residents, destination development, it fulfills that, and then eSports connects generations. Here's that fun slide. This is my tourism moment to really amplify it and evangelize it, right? This is called the Community Vitality Wheel. This was just recently released by Destinations International. And again, here's this saying. It starts with a visit, right? I'm not going to read it for you, but you can follow along. A visit becomes, and it starts with a visit. If you decide to move to a city or a destination or a country, you've got to visit it first, right? Then you become a vital part of living there. And if it's a great place to live, then it becomes a great place to work, right? And if it's a great place to work, people will want to invest there. And if they're investing there, they're going to want to visit. And this is that kind of circle of community vitality where the tourism board gets heavily involved are those bottom rings in branding and marketing and things like that. But I think this is, Judith and Jordy, this is something as it relates to the segmentation of business and visitation that I think is an awesome example. Jumping back kind of into the program. So this is kind of where we're headed, right? Ed and I have spent the latter half of the last 3 months really kind of figuring out, do we want to build or do we want to bring? And we've had ample opportunity to bring events. And you must balance your approach to host the short-term gains, one and done, versus the long-term investments. What are the metrics we use to determine the sources of funding you can apply? Size of the events, space required, projected overnight attendees, local, regional, and national, and international, which I've spoken of. What are the term commitments? Is it a one-year agreement? Is it a multi-year agreement? And what's the value to the community? Again, this is broken into 4 grids based on low cost and high cost, new events and existing events. And what we've started to do is we've plotted things as simple as local land parties, low cost, potentially a new event, all the way up to an international event that maybe has a high cost of entry. And then, again, is it an established event that rotates around the globe? So we're starting to kind of map this strategy and these various touch points of where we want to bring, where we want to be in the build versus bring quadrants. A couple more slides here. So this is not a new branding campaign for Andorra and the ski resorts, right? That's not what this is. There's been a lot of cautionary news around the eSports winter. This is a term that's used in this space. Those who have been around long enough have witnessed the changing tides of the eSports industry. In the past, recovery was always driven by the community's insatiable demand for quality content and in-person celebration. That holds true even more in the current market. COVID brought live events to a cold stop in 2020. Many events did not survive. This added to the lack of supply versus the demand. In post-COVID, we are witnessing a resurgence in new and existing esports event producers creating more in-person live events across all game genres in most global regions. These event organizers are not only looking for destinations to host their event, right? They're looking for a long-term partnership, and this is a really important point, in which both destination and producer can invest into and grow together for the long term. We do not look at this approach as transactional. Yes, we measure the money, but it's not just about what we like to say in the hospitality tourism space, heads in beds and butts in seats, right? It is about how do we map a long-term partnership to continue to be sustainable. One final question in my remarks. And this is a quote, "Change is inevitable, growth is optional." This was from John Maxwell, right? Today is an opportunity to learn and share with each other. And are we ready to grow together? So that's the question that I want you all to ponder as we move into this next panel. And I want to thank you for your time. Slides coming, there it is. Muchas gracias from Loren Gold. LinkedIn profile's there. Do you need it?